before we get into today's subject matter, I want to let you all know, for those of you that continue to regularly watch my show, I will be taking a 3-day break starting Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I'll be returning on Tuesday for you all. Doing this show has taken a toll, I'm not going to lie, and I've been doing it like sometimes 3 to 4, sometimes 5 videos a day for you all since the very beginning of the year with no time off, and it's taken a toll. I'm not going to lie. So I need a bit of time off. I was thinking, because I am going away for 3 days, I was thinking, maybe I should schedule some episodes for you. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just going to take 3 days off. I know I made a commitment to make videos for you all, but I think my mental health and my actual overall health, I need a bit of a break from everything that has transpired in my life personally. So you may have noticed that I'm a bit down or deflated. There's reasons to that. So I apologize. I'm not my usual upbeat self. But anyway, I thought I would let you all know all the same. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the video that I made yesterday regarding Candace Owens, who apparently had a major secret that she waited several months to reveal to you all yesterday, was so juicy. Evidently, she couldn't wait to make up this incredible, elaborate story about how Donald Trump himself told her or urged her to stop questioning Brigitte Macron's gender, saying it's stalling Ukraine peace talks. Now, I don't know about you, but if this was major news, right, a major story, why in the world would you hold on to that story up until the end of June, beginning of July? To me, it makes zero sense whatsoever, which means that, guess what? It sounds too good to be true. Candace Owens is a master grifter. She's a master liar, albeit you can actually see through her lies quite considerably. I mentioned it a little bit in my video yesterday, like how crazy this actually sounds. But here is her being so confident in her story. I think the more you start believing the lie, the more you double down on the lie. Have a watch of this.
When I call that person back, they tell me something that is even stranger. They say, look, I again am the messenger here. What I was told from somebody that's pretty high up at the White House is that Emmanuel Macron is holding up negotiations to end the Russian and Ukrainian war unless you stop speaking about his wife. And I'm just going, what? What are you saying? What are we even speaking about? What do you mean negotiations between Russia and Ukraine? I'm just like, looking into a story at my house. I've got a very small team here, and you're telling me that somehow negotiations are being held up and it needs to be communicated to me that I got to stop talking about Brigitte? What are we saying? And then I'm asking myself in my mind, because I hang up this phone and I am in true shock. Did Emmanuel Macron pretend to fly into DC under the guise of negotiations, the Russia and Ukraine war, and then instruct someone on his entourage to have an off the books discussion, a little meeting on the side, maybe somebody again, like a Susie Wiles, where he made his truer demands? Like, hey, this is for the pictures. Me and Trump are talking about you. We're going to get it done. And then what really goes on behind the scenes is like, we're not doing anything until that little podcaster, Candace, agrees to shut her mouth. What? This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. Okay. So we ended the conversation. I say, I'm going to sleep on this. It's a lot to process. I remember I get into bed and I just turn to my husband and I say, no one will ever believe us. Just something that just arrived at me very slowly. I said, no one will ever believe that this just took place. And my husband's like, yeah, no, this is just very, very strange. And I promised the individual that I would pray on it, that I would think further about the situation. What are the implications here? And I then call him back the next day and I say, look, this is pretty weird. You have to admit this is pretty weird. and you're not really giving me any details. And I kind of want to know who specifically you spoke to, because I think it kind of matters. Is somebody trying to do a side deal while Trump is doing a different deal? And at that moment, he's honest and he says, no, President Trump was on the phone too. And I go, oh, are you kidding me? You didn't tell me this yesterday? That there was some sort of a conference call and President Trump is on the line? You didn't mention. I go, did you lie to me yesterday? Were you trying to pretend that it was like a third party person? And he says, no, I didn't lie to you. I didn't lie to you. Like, I got a phone call and I obviously in the background, Trump communicated something to me. So he was there when the phone call took place. And I'm going, what the heck is going on? Literally, what is happening right now?
Do you really think that Emmanuel Macron would have gone to Trump? There's this American commentator, Candace Owens, and she's been saying some very nasty things about my husband or wife, whichever one you want to use. So please, Trump, can you call her up and urge her to stop doing that? Because if we don't urge her to stop doing that, I'm not going to go very well with these peace talks with Ukraine and Russia. I'm just going to hold back on that until such time, Trump, is if you tell this political commentator of sorts, this grifter, to stop misgendering my wife. Stop talking about Brigitte Macron's gender. Like, are you honestly for real? And Candace even said she went to her husband and her husband says to her, no one's going to believe this. Well, she didn't come with any receipts at all. She just came with a story, a very elaborate story, I might add. And she's got a pretty good track record of lying. So if you ask me, I don't trust a word she says at all. And when you're making up this kind of story and you've been holding on to it for a very long time, and notice how easily the story comes to her. Like, okay, it's happened in February. And now you're relaying the story months later, pretty much like to a T, you know? So there's no discrepancy whatsoever in the story. There's no waiting, nothing. It's just perfect detail. She remembers every single little detail, which leads me to believe, sorry, Candace, not sorry, you're lying. Usually you can tell whether or not someone is lying or telling the truth. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, she's not lying. And I don't think Trump really cares too much about what Candace Owens says. I really don't think he cares. He's got much bigger things to worry about than Candace Owens, the grifter, talking through her ass all the time about things that didn't even happen. So can you imagine Trump just calls up Candace Owens out of the blue and just goes, Candace, you got to stop. Like the president of the United States calling Candace Owens over a ridiculous story that Candace Owens, her small little team of people put together. That's how provocative this actually is, right? She is a provocateur galore. Like, how about actually telling the truth for once? Ant goes, I bet it was a prank call by someone doing a great Donald Trump impression and she fell for it. Her narcissism would have prevented her from realizing she was just being played. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe it was. Because I don't believe for 1 second that it would be real. Avi Many goes, and it out-heard diehard fans who scream, question everything, are actually the most gullible people alive. Yeah, that's what it seems like, eh? Loads of people on the internet have been saying she's full of shit. She can't possibly be telling the truth. And, well, she doubled down, ladies and gentlemen. So anyone that was calling her out at all, you're apparently anti-Candace and you're being paid off to be anti-Candace. And she also posted this, I believe it was this morning. I have been listening to a ton of anti-Tucker sermons given by pastors last Sunday, and all I can say is, wow. The Catholic and Orthodox churches can expect to see an explosion of conversions this year. Huh? Okay. Well, if you think so, Candace, because there's one thing you're great at, it's predicting the future, right? You're a great storyteller. I'll give you that. But you're also a terrible liar because you're lying through the skin of your teeth all the time just so people can have some entertainment. And that's wrong. But I mean, keep going because I'll just continue to make videos and call you out about your nonsense and your lies. Great entertainment for me sometimes. Great content. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.